Now we have one more session. Now I call upon Mr. Ram Nandyala. Ram Nandyala Garu is the Vice President, Smart Folks Inc. Ram Nandyala Garu will again introduce another eminent personality with us, Mr. Raja Dodala. I request both of them to come.
Welcome, sir. So, after the keynote address, we have a sizzling fireside chat segment here. Hope you guys will enjoy this as well.
Please take your seat, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now we have another interesting session. They both will do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Raja Garu, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the event.
Thank you.
And I've really planned a lot of questions, and definitely it is a dinner time, and we don't want to hold people. Chala mandini ikkada hold cheyalemu. Let us
We'll
talk.
be efficient. We'll be efficient. We're between dinner and...
Yeah. We just wanted to know what we can. And so coming to the event, so I just read about your profile in the online, and you grew up in Andhra Pradesh.
I did.
And then for studies you went to Australia.
I did.
Akkadi nunchi malli Amerikaki. So much of transitions in the countries, and please talk about your journey, and as well as we wanted to know which country you like it most.
No, that's a really hard question. But it's an interesting journey, because if you grew up in Andhra Pradesh or in India, anywhere, if you didn't do well in college, you're nobody. And I was one of those kids that did really well in high school, and I went to college and I just really didn't do well. It wasn't, I wasn't interested in academics. So I graduated college, barely did, and I had no future in India because I didn't do well in college. So I went searching for a better opportunity overseas, and it just took me to Australia. I did my graduate school there, and then I came here, just like a lot of people in the mid-90s, I came here. And I started briefly as a software engineer, and then discovered that wasn't where my heart was. And then I discovered a passion for business, and then I went back to business school, and then worked in different roles in strategy and business development and starting new businesses. And then I discovered venture capital along the way, and I kind of discovered that that's my calling, and that's what I do now.
Okay, you didn't still answer my question. Out of 3 countries, which you definitely
they all
feel.
hold. I mean, Australia is a brief 2-year stint, so I wouldn't put that in that category. But I mean, they all have a place in my heart. India is always, where. Andhra Pradesh is where I grew up, and that's always in my heart.
That's wonderful. I was expecting answered from you. So, in your journey, you started as a vice president at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And usually when you go into that, anyone here, when you go for such a big role, they wanted to just do their job. But you went on inventing.
I was one of those people that even as a kid, I get bored easily. So I always, trying to look for problems to solve, and I couldn't sit still and just grow, sort of the corporate ladder, climb the ladder. So I always, look for things, interesting things to do, and that's kind of what led me to.
So that's how it's Seven Ventures startup?
Yes, that's what led me to venture capital and investing in startups.
Okay, that's good. So how did they receive, and how is that doing right now?
Yeah, it was probably a strange proposal that usually they don't see from a young person. At that time, I was still in my 30s, and but I was well prepared, and I had maybe a 20% chance of getting approval to do that. But to my surprise, the management agreed to do that, and it was the thesis was simple, that a company like 7-Eleven with 80,000 stores worldwide and a lot of distribution, and it can play a really unique role in the life of a startup, whether that's a consumer packaged goods startup or a technology startup, where we can be more than a customer. We can provide distribution. So I thought that we had an advantage in getting allocation on the cap tables of these startups, and that was one idea. And the second idea was, it was 2009, 2010. That's when mobile and internet and mobile was sort of getting traction, and Amazon was eating every retailer's lunch. So it kind of worked out that they were scared about Amazon. 7-Eleven was known for inventing, a channel, a convenience channel, and they were trying to understand what technology and mobile and internet was going to do to retail. And we thought that investing in startups is a good way to learn how the market is going to turn and maybe capture the next wave of technology.
That's wonderful. So invention should keep on in life.
Yeah.
There is no meaning otherwise.
Before technology can disrupt your business, you can be part of it.
So I know you, as a venture capitalist, you've been looking at so many companies and you've been investing.
Yeah.
So what do you look at when you wanted to look at the company? What do you really look into that?
Venture capital is of a unique animal in that, compared to other asset classes, let's just say maybe the closest analog would be private equity. So private equity would be, there'd be a fund, and they would find businesses that are, they're not new businesses, they're current business, and maybe there's some inefficiencies in the business. A private equity fund will go buy a business that that is currently profitable, but they think they can make changes and then make it more profitable and then sell it for a better price. And that's private equity. Venture capital, even though sometimes is put in the same bucket, but it's totally different in that venture capital is an asset class that's funding ideas. And these are companies that don't exist. So these are people that fall in love with a problem that they're really passionate about, and then they create something out of thin air. It's almost like a good analogy is going from 0 to 1. It's really hard to do that. So because of that, since there's no fundamentals, meaning there's no financials to look at, it's a brand new company. So typically the way you underwrite that is you underwrite the people. Why is this person, the person to solve this problem, and what in their background that qualifies them to be creating this new technology or a solution? And are they able to articulate the problem? Are they able to communicate the solution to the marketplace? Are they able to convince investors to give them money? Are they able to attract a talented team without any product or revenue? So somebody would be taking a big leap of faith to join them on this journey. So in a way, it's a roundabout way of saying you underwrite people. So the markets and technologies and those things can change, because you're not going to know what the market's going to do 10 years from now or 5 years from now, or what customers will do. So you underwrite people, and can they adopt? Yeah, can they adapt to the market? Can they change direction? Can they inspire people?
Got you. Yeah.
So
our Dallas members here, they're all investing in a big places on the real estate side.
Yes.
A lot of time people will talk about GP and LP.
Yeah.
So sometimes some people are really confused. What is the GP and what is the LP?
It can get confusing.
Maybe, I just wanted to listen from your experience.
Yeah, same terminology can be used to describe a venture capital fund or a real estate fund or a private equity fund. So the GP, that's stands for general partner. So GP is the person or a team that is actually running the fund on a day-to-day basis. They're the ones that are selecting businesses to invest in, whether that's a hotel if you're a real estate fund, or if you're an air conditioning company if you're a middle market private equity fund, or in case of my friend Dayakar and team at Dallas Venture Capital, they would be the GP investing in technology companies. And the money that they invest comes from investors. And those investors are called limited partners. So in my job as at Churchill, so I am in some cases both. Primarily we're an LP, we invest in venture capital funds, and we also invest in some companies where we are the general partner.
Got you. Yeah. So when it comes to the investment, you have seen so many big companies and you invested in a lot of places.
Yeah.
What is your till today? What is your the best investment what you did, and why you feel that, and how are they doing right now?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It goes back to underwriting people, and usually, especially in venture capital, whether you're an angel investor or you're a venture capital firm, money usually is the commodity, meaning there's more money than there is good companies. So usually, companies, when they decide who to take their capital from, the way they make decisions is they don't make the decision based on how much money they're getting from an investor. You have to provide.
It doesn't matter individual or institution.
No, it does matter. I think it's the same philosophy. I think an investor has to bring more than capital. So in a lot of cases, so I invest personally and also as an LP in my personal life. The amount of money that I would invest in a company is super small. So the capital doesn't matter to that company, but there may be an insight or my network or my experience probably could be useful. And those are usually end up being good investments.
And a lot of our friends here, they're investing in the real estate.
Yeah.
And how that really difference between the investing in the real estate or art, even I've seen online, and investing in the art is also becoming a biggest investment it's a huge market for that.
Yeah.
So how a VC versus these investments happens when anybody wants to.
So if you're saying in the room, if there's an investor, how do they decide between investing in real
Yeah,
estate
yeah.
versus venture capital? I think they serve different purposes. So anybody, the way I would think about it in my personal sort of investing is think about it as a portfolio. So there's, usually, in the old days, they would tell you should invest 60% of your money in equities, like stocks, and 40% in bonds. In the last 20, 25 years,
That was the math?
That was the math. The portfolio math. So now the new portfolio sort of theory is that no longer works because back in the 80s or
Times are changing.
Right, times have changed, and private other asset classes are now large. Real estate and private equity and venture capital are now 20 to 30 trillion dollars, a year in the U.S. and worldwide it's even bigger. So if you're an investor, you have to think about what is the place in your portfolio that alternatives play, and inside of alternatives, how much is real estate, and how much is venture capital, how much is private equity, and that answer depends on your personal preference in risk and liquidity, time to liquidity. So venture capital, for example, is a sort of a different risk profile, but it's it has the potential to give you the highest, based on historical averages, it has the potential to give you the highest amount of return, but it also has the highest amount of risk. So it all depends on your personal risk profile.
So there is a lot of risk involved in any business, but they need to just monitor the things.
I think
work.
you have to decide. Is it 5%? Is it 10%?
It doesn't matter.
It depends on your
matter.
expertise. It depends on your comfort level.
So a lot of technologies are changing.
Yeah.
We are talking about AI, robotics. A lot of things are there. What would you be really exciting to you in next 5 years? Where the people wants to keep their money parked in?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because I would add on to what Nagendra said is that technology goes in waves. I think he used the word S-curves, and I call them sort of technology waves. We're living through a third technology wave in the last 25 years. We lived through the internet, and that's sort of mid 90s to let's say 2005, 2006. And then 2007, smartphones, and now we're in a new sort of wave.
Rapidly growing.
And it seems to me that what software can do is about to change, and what, the possibilities of people, we're talking about drug discovery, we're talking about autonomous vehicles, and we're talking about space travel. It looks like space travel is back. And I just read a story about a startup in Chennai printing a rocket from scratch using 3D printing and sending it to space. So what software can do in the physical world with hardware combined, which is what to me is the exciting thing that progress that we're about to see.
So we could hear a lot of things in the short of time what we have.
Nobody can predict the time frame, and usually, and there's a saying that I think Bill Gates said this, people underestimate the impact of technology in the long term, but overestimate it in the short term. So we may be overestimating it. We're in the hype cycle, but in a long-term 5 to 8 to 20-year time frame, I think it's a very exciting time to be alive.
That would be great. And I know we are running short out of time.
Yes.
So before we wind up, I wanted to see if you can give us some valuable suggestions to some of our thoughts about investing in the companies as well as the venture capitalists and versus the real estate, you already answered.
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to hear your final thoughts to
I
our
don't think I
members.
have. I just want to reiterate, the message that Nagender sent, as advice to young people is to integrity is something that's really in a short commodity in our universe. I think that that would be the message that I would double down on.
Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome.
Raja.
Thank you, sir. And we won't let you go like this. We have some memento presentation by Subbarao Garu. Thank you, sir. Definitely a lot of insights about venture capitalism and investments in properties. Thank you, sir.